Wake up, buy here, pay here people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhodes on the Buy Here, Pay Here morning show. Take it away, you two.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey, it's late morning.
Good late morning, everybody.
I hear that intro and it says, wake up, everybody. I'm thinking everybody should be well awake by now, so that we shifted the time zone.
That.
You don't think so?
I really don't know about that. I think it depends on if you're, on the western half of the U.S., because it's like 9 and 8.
Yeah.
There. And eastern half of the U.S., it depends on whether or not, sometimes it takes people a long time to wake up.
I suppose. I guess.
Just
what I'm hearing is you want to stick with the intro that we have.
Well, we haven't had any complaints yet.
Yeah,
so
I got you.
That sounds good. A happy Wednesday. I hope everyone had a really great Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
We had a our Valentine's Day was just like super, super, super low key and chill. Jim brought.
We had a major weather event.
Yeah. Jim and his mom were supposed to head out of town to go do her after 2-week check after her surgery, and got turned around.
Yeah.
Because the wind was so bad that it was
80 mile an hour plus, like documented at 80 plus. So
yeah.
And a lot of the fields in this country are open dirt right now, so just dust.
Well, think about the pictures you've seen for the Dust Bowl when the Dust Bowl was a thing. This is what they were experiencing.
Yeah.
It's
Except
something very
with semi trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
a whole team of horses and a plow. That that wasn't as scary as having a semi truck come plowing in behind you.
Yeah, they did have a 20-car pileup on the highway. Apparently, no fatalities.
But woke up to Jim flowers. That's just awesome. And we ordered pizza last night for dinner for the three of us. And I was like, hey, do they do it in a heart shape?
Yeah.
No. It just was it was a delicious pizza.
She said she wanted an Italian dinner. So
there you go. And it was easy and no one had to really cook and barely any cleanup and all of that. Good morning, Unique Autos and Advantage Auto and Credit, Karen. And also Shelly.
Pennsylvania is represented, North Carolina. Yeah, nice. Glad to have you guys here.
Happy have you all here. Okay,
White Hat Wednesday.
White Hat Wednesday. Do we have any announcements?
Just a reminder about the March 30th event. 30th. Watch your inbox. We'll be sending out our coupon codes and this and that.
It's now on the industry calendar on NIADA, and
thanks for that.
And so there will be coupon codes that are going to be going out for those that want to be able to participate.
And if you hop on BHPHNationTV.com, you can see the list. That's just a partial list of the folks that are going to be there as experts. So just
BHPHNationTV.com. And you can see all of the stuff that's on that. And also, if you're a vendor out there that would like to be able to run an ad, a commercial, short little spot, 15, 30 seconds, whatever, super easy, low price, just get on BHPHNationTV.com and then look under the tab sponsorship, and it'll give you some information if you'd like to participate.
And then other quick mention, we got Paxton Wright is going to be with us from Primeline to talk about mergers and acquisitions on Friday. So we got that.
Yeah, that'll be a good one about, if a merger acquisition is somewhere in your future, or if it's something you're thinking about now. Really good information. I bet you a lot of people didn't realize that Paxton, the company Paxton works for, Primeland, actually helps with that,
some of that
kind of thing
consulting.
too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good.
So
should we bring our guest in?
Yes.
Our favorite low-tech redneck, as he calls himself.
That's me.
That's Jared Halsted in Arizona.
Good morning, Jared.
Good morning, my friends. How are you guys?
Outstanding.
We're good. Yeah, we're really good.
We made it halfway through the week. We're doing good.
I know. And our list of things to do for the week is shortening, so that's always great too.
Right. Yeah. Go to the Apple store, get your phone repaired.
Right.
Yeah, had to do it. Had to start it with
okay, so now those of you who know both of us, the three of us on social media, that there is this debate, and we actually ask it a lot of times when we have someone on the show that hasn't been on the show and we're kind of getting to know them, is Apple or Android.
Yeah.
And
I did a poll back in October.
And what I thought was true ended up being true.
About, at least according to the Facebook groups that we're a part of, we're outnumbered, Jared, about 2-1. Jared calls us Android warriors.
Yes.
That's right.
I sometimes think I'm the last Android holdout, so I'm glad to find out that
Jared,
you're
there
over
are
there with me.
others though.
There are some others, yeah.
And so we kind of, when we were talking about what we wanted to talk about today, we were like, we thought about friendly competition. And so the first person that we considered that would be a really great addition to this conversation. Thank you, George. And it's a freezing 35. Sorry.
I said the same thing.
Yeah. It's
I'm
cold.
with you, George. Queen Creek's cold too.
Yeah.
But the person that we thought about, especially since it's a White Hat Wednesday, is our White Hat dealer friend, NIADA board member, VP of Region 4. Or I got it right. Yay.
Nice.
And fellow dealer out there, Mr. Jared Halsted. And you're also the president of the board for AIADA, or for Arizona Independent Automobile Dealers Association. I said that.
I am.
Excellent. So you're like super plugged in, super busy, busy. I think that's probably an understatement.
Yeah, I do have a busy schedule. That is for sure.
Well, and you guys had a busy stretch. Yeah. Obviously, the announcement about Jeff Martin stepping into the CEO role.
Couldn't be more excited about that. That's a big one. That and the Buckeye deal. I mean, there's been a lot going on at NIADA that's kept us very, very busy. And of course, states all have their own. You guys were just at our coming out of convention season, going into 2 giant announcements like that. I feel like I'm on vacation this week. There's just not much to do. The world's problems are solved. Life is good. So
we don't. All right. So the NIADA doesn't have anything else big that's coming down the pipe. So we can like take a breath, and it's like, what's next?
Well, we do. We've got the Buy Here Pay Here Nation TV event coming up on March 30th that we're happy to be a part of. See what I did there? See how I did that?
You did that. That was really.
Did that. There you go.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for the plug.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are always plugging us. We got to give it back to the people we love the most.
Thank you. That. Well, we do have quite a few people that are on the, part of NIADA and state organizations that are going to be part of that. So thank you. And I think it'll just add a lot of enrichment to the conversation. But back to the topic at hand. It's not, dear listeners, it's not about Apple versus Android. Although that's a lot of fun, and you will continue to see us go back and forth. And I have to say, I am not nearly as quick as these two when it comes to like the comebacks. It's like it takes me a minute, and by the time I'm one of those that wakes up in the middle of the night and goes, "Oh, that's what I should have said." That's me. Yeah. I'm not super fast, but it's been fun.
I've had more fun with the text message thread. We've had more fun over there, just back and forth on that. So I heard Jared, one. Yeah. Be ready on the groan button. I heard a joke the other day about Jared. If you're a security guard at a Samsung store, does that make you guardian of the galaxy?
That's a good question. I like that.
We got sound effects over here. So. Yeah, this is the stuff you can learn on TikTok when you have a smartphone, right? So
I have other sound effects, so just bring it, man. Yeah. That I can do. I can think about that quickly because I don't have.
There you go.
Yeah, no, it's like my brain's all programmed into the soundboard.
I could tell you, and really kind of the theme for today was, if I think about what does this mean to the typical Buy Here Pay Here dealer, right? The whole, because most of us can associate. Most of us either are sitting with an Android or an iPhone as a device. And so you think about, what does that really mean to us? Like, I'm all the time telling Michelle, wow, people talk about, oh man, I hate giving up my privacy to, the Googles of the world, and they know everything about where I'm at. And I thought, well, they know anyway, right? In fact, they know what I want to buy tomorrow or whatever. So they know everything anyway. But man, the value that we receive as smartphone users today, in part because of the competition that is, the iPhone Android thing. If iPhone were sitting out there with no real competition, not sure what that would mean to the typical user or vice versa. So I just think that it's an example, and I think we try to take that to, what does it mean for the typical Buy Here Pay Here dealer? Like, what is the value for them, because of the healthy competition that is education for buy here, pay here dealers.
Well, Jim, I think there's two parts to that. Is that you've got your healthy competition when we're talking about products available for dealers now versus products available back in the day.
Right.
I was with Laser Appraiser for scanning cars in auction back when it was on a Palm Pilot, and then even when you had to rent the little scanner from them that kind of looked like a remote control with a laser beam that came out to scan VINs.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest deal. And so I've been with them for quite some time until the pandemic. And never really willing to look into anything else, and come to find out there's a world of competition out there, and that's just one market of it, from GPS to anything, and being able to not be so loyal to the point where you're missing out on something that creates you more value and more money. Because of the pandemic and other services available, I was forced in a way to switch the way we operated, like I think a lot of dealers were during that time. And in doing so, man, did I find some really valuable tools for my team that had been there a long time before that I had simply not been willing to listen to. So
I like where you're going with this, Jared. So like, just as a dealer, when you're out there looking for solutions for your problem, solutions, how do you make what you do better? Competition has been beautiful.
it has been.
Yeah, it's like, because you can find the right thing, and that competition actually encourages growth and expansion, and better features, better with everybody that's out there, that be it from a scanner to GPS devices to DMSs to all of the things, good
Advertising, everything. And no, I've learned a lot. I will say this from being the president in Arizona. Obviously, we have an amazing staff at NIADA. I cannot say enough about how amazing our staff at NIADA is, but most state associations are very insightful, like dealerships. You've got some that have 3 or 4 rooftops and 50, 60 employees. You got some that are smaller, like Arizona, where it's, it's the board and our Dave and one extra employee doing it. And in doing that, a lot of times we get these calls, especially dealers, and you guys know, after convention, that phone rings, and it's every vendor that was there, whether you talk to them or not, they're calling you. And a lot of us, business owners or business operators, don't have time to actually listen to that. But and they're trying to compete for their segment of the market, so they're competing with each other to get us. And well, being the president of Arizona, I listen to all of them, because sometimes it may not be a product that I'm going to use specifically for my dealership, but it may be a product that there's a partnership opportunity there to partner in Arizona, or on, I'm still the new guy on the totem pole nationally, and they've got their own team of people do that, but in Arizona we don't. And I have picked up, just by listening to the competition, I may be set in blank.com that I'm only advertising there, and xyz.com calls me. And now that I've been listening to the pitches, and I started doing that more for the state association, get that out to other dealers, the competition out there is fierce, and there's a lot of good stuff out there, and some of it overlaps, but some are unique in their own way. And it's amazing what's out there for us today.
I love it. I love it. And, we were talking this morning about this, and I've always been a junkie for self-help and self-improvement, all of that. And that, there's a lot of different ways of skinning whatever.
You can say it. Skin a cat.
Skinning a cat.
Yeah.
Peeling an orange, whatever it is. There's a lot of different ways to do that. And by having different ways presented to you, you find what fits best. And you go forward. And that doesn't mean that what's best for you is best for everybody else. It's just best for you and for your model, but they're all getting to the same thing. And that's
exactly it.
The orange. Yeah, exactly. So how do we take this then as a dealer in an industry, in a market of other dealerships that are in your area or in your state or whatever? How do we take this same approach to, we are now one of those that are competing against others in our market. So what is it that we do that can help our dealership?
Well, and I put some thought into that, because my favorite white hat guy over there in Georgia, he said one of the things I think goes on with you, that his only competition is himself, and I've always lived by that. And you guys were in town and met one of my best friends, Shane, who has the dealership down the road. There's only a few used car dealerships in Queen Creek. And while we are a competition, in fact, we probably compete and have more fun with each other with some of those texts than the three of us do. I think there's some things that like we were talking about, the competition for the market segment from vendors or industry partners. That's one thing. we all have the ability and free will to go out and find those and be better, and telling each other about those, or joining 20 groups or DPG, or the culmination of both of those can help with that. But there's some things that in competition that are natural and unique to your own dealership. For me, obviously, I've got a very country car dealership, a very unique vibe when people come in. And I think that's my real advantage in competing, is who we are, how we treat our customers. Now, every dealer is going to say, at least I hope every dealer says that. Every white hat dealer is going to say it's about how they treat their customer. I don't want to get in their pocket once. I want to see them every time they think of a used car. And I want to tell their cousins and sisters and brothers. And for me, that competition is really how I treat my customers. And this may sound a little cocky, but I don't think anyone can compete with me on that. That's for me and my customers. That's where I really shine. So
yeah.
How could you be beat on that? Right. So
right. I mean, it's me.
Right. We've those of you who also kind of watch what we do on social media, that we've had a couple of different tours that we've done. One was a queso tour. So, I went through a lot of Texas and tried a lot of different quesos and all of that. And then another one was an old fashioned tour that we are still on because we just love them. But when I think about, like a queso is it's, and some of them have all the additives and things like that. And the same thing with the old fashioned. It's like, it's whiskey and it's a cherry and it's all of those kind of things. When I think about where I would choose to go next time I am in Austin, Texas, I'll tell you, there's only one place I'm going. Only one place that I will go to get an old fashioned. And that was at the Kalahari Resort, at that restaurant there. What was it called?
Something cut, wasn't it?
Double cut.
There you go.
I would go there for my old fashioned above anywhere else in the Austin area. And we tried a lot of old fashions in that area. Why? Why would I only go there? Because the experience I had was memorable. It was, there were people around that enjoy, there was an enjoyment around the entire thing. It was the sights, it was the smells, it was the presentation. It was that we felt special. It wasn't the old fashioned. The old fashioned was good.
It was the flair.
Fashion. Yeah. It was the experience.
Yes.
Doing that. Now, same like with the queso tour, we tried a lot of quesos, and we have our favorites, but there was one that shone above all others for the experience. And even though the queso was marginal, I would flipping go back there for that experience again, because it was beautiful. It was wonderful how they brought this a cart out, and they added cheeses and they lit it on fire, and they're just mixing everything up and then adding the stuff and put it in front of us. And it was just like, that was a fantastic experience. So
what you're hearing Michelle do is rave about these things. And I think that's part of what we ask our clients to think about as dealers is, create raving fans and create that loyalty. Because gosh, we have the opportunity, Jared, you must have it all the time. Like you've got a customer who bought from you yesterday. You're going to have 3 to 4 years of a relationship with them at a minimum to have a chance to, earn their business again and again, to demonstrate, who you are as a company again and again. And so this is where we have a chance to really compete and separate ourselves. Because when I think about the Apple, iPhone, Android experience, I think, what is that experience like? I know what they say at Apple. I just wonder, what's the experience when those folks are waiting in that long line at the iPhone store? What's that?
It's so much fun because they have all sorts of different gadgets out for you to play with while you're waiting for your appointment.
Well, I think their processor speed works similar, like you said, Michelle. It takes a while. Like tomorrow, they'll tell me that funny joke. Like, hey, Siri, tell me a joke. Okay, I will tomorrow. Let me think of one real quick. Android just like on it. So Jim, you said something there that the earning the business. Look at her. The earning the business. I've worked in this car business since I was 19 years old, and I'm 42, and I can stuff someone in a car. I can sell a car. I can sell you a car you didn't want to buy in the. I want to earn your business, and I want to do it right, and that's really the upper hand. So when we talk about experiences, obviously, I mean, very few dealers have. Feel like the weather girl, everything's backwards, guns hanging on the wall. I've got tombstone and I have hitching posts outside. So my dealership really is unique. I have people come take wedding photos here because it's very country and But it's the experience they get. And you can see that in our reviews, and you can see that in our repeat customers. Even during COVID, and we didn't track it as well in 2022, but in 2021, I think we wrote 64. I give $100 a referral fee, so that's more than one a week. And back in 19, it was ridiculous. It was almost 2 a week of referrals. That's because of the experience we give. And car buying is relatively the same process. Some dealers it's a little longer, some dealers a little shorter. We make it fast, fun, and friendly out here in Queen Creek. It's a small town, and I think that's really, when we talk about competition, that's where I lead. And and my buddy Shane down the road, he's the same way, but there's only 2 of us. And quite frankly, in this town, if you're not going to spend your money with me, I want you to spend it with him, and vice versa. We'd rather keep those dollars in Queen Creek. We are a small town. So really the only competition I have is with myself. But when we talk about competition of vendors and how to be better, there's so much out there that can make us better, whether it's how I book cars now to buy them. Now I've, in the 20-some years I've been doing this, it wasn't until a couple of years ago I bought a car on the internet. I've sold millions of them, but it's trying to buy it. So the way we learn those things, those are competitive edges that we can give ourselves, but they're also the same competitive edge that any dealer can go find. The real competitive edge I think I find is the ones that's within us, is who we are as humans, who we are as dealers, our morals, our principles, how we're going to treat that customer. It's not what you're selling them. It's how are you going to treat them for that 3 or 4 or 5 years, Jim, that you were talking about afterwards, and how are you going to treat their family? And is it going to be the same for everyone across the board? And here we don't discriminate. We love you all, and we'll take money from anyone. So come on down.
Nice, yeah. I think that's one of the things we see. And by the way, we've had these great conversations on the podcast, for that matter, with Gordy Tormolen.
Yes, I was just
one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, and he's the incoming president, right? For those who don't
know, had
a chance to meet Gordy, he's the president-elect, so he'll be stepping into that chair in June. So, so one of the things that people need to know about Gordy is that he's one of the people that comes on the show and talks about this thing about transactional business versus relationship-based business. And so, he's obviously a small town dealer. He's, kind of rural environment where he does business. I think that's a really important lesson that we can take. And obviously it's what Michelle and I spend a lot of our time talking about, is helping dealers separate themselves, from any would-be competition by understanding that difference and being more than transactional, and showing the customer. Like, it's one thing to say it, but to show it day after day after day is where you earn them and create those raving fans. So thoughts on that?
Well, I think Gordy's one of my heroes. I met Gordy through being the chair of the President's Council 2 or 3 years ago, and got, funny enough, he's from Rockford, where my father's whole side of the family's from. There's a road named after us, and so we bonded up. And also he taught me about fleece-lined jeans. When we flew into Texas, I was unaware of how cold it was in Texas. I thought he had pajamas on under his jeans. So thanks to Gordy, I know how to dress next time they fly us to Texas for a meeting in the snow.
I like that.
Yes, Gordy, he's full of all kinds of knowledge. Who knew? The guy's a genius.
Passion, knowledge.
He's very seasoned. Right.
And I had been running this business the same way, based off relationships. But when Gordy had said that to me, we were sitting at dinner one night after a board meeting I was there in Texas for. And he was talking about that to me, and it's what I was doing. I just didn't have the right words to put it to for a guy like me that uses 50 words, when most will use 5. That's hard for me to say. I didn't have the words, but when Gordy laid that out, it's the truth. I have worked for so many transactional dealers. It's all about the numbers. Did you close them? Why didn't you close them? Call them back. What's it going to take to put the dream in the driveway stuff?
Yeah.
And then there's the relationship ones that you build that relationship, you build that trust. And sometimes that means letting them go. You don't hold them here. Okay, well, we know you're going to be shopping out there, but we'd really like the opportunity to earn your business. So when you go out there, here's some things to be aware of. And I do school customers in what to watch out for, because not all dealers are created even. They're going to know if they walk into a white hat dealer versus walking into that transactional stuff ya dealer. And I try to make sure they don't get caught up in something like that. And 90% of the time I see those customers back within the same day or the next day, and they're ready to buy. They've been out, they've touched a few other places. And so there is healthy competition amongst vendors, there is amongst dealers. And that is part of the competition too, is how do you treat your customers, and how do you set them up? If they're going to leave, how do you leave a lasting impression? So if they do leave and they go around, when it's time to decide where they're going to go back, that you're first on that list to come back. And that's the competitive edge that I think I have.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah, it's really great. I think one of the things that we see is, like, in marketing, like, we try to help dealers in marketing to also tell a story on the front end of their business. Is like, we see too many dealers, and this is not just true of buy here, pay here. You see it in independent retail, whatever, but it's like, we see a lot of dealers that have basically advertising that looks like, we're a car dealership and we have cars. We're a car dealership and we have cars, right? That's very transactional to me. And so that's like, we really have to get better. I feel like that's where we can separate ourselves, and because everybody could fit in the I was aging myself by saying the yellow pages. Like we can all be listed in the yellow pages, right? But it's like when you do a Google search, they're all out there. But what's going to separate us? Like what's our story? What makes us different? And so I think this is where the competition, is healthy. It's appropriate. I just think there's ways we can separate ourselves, and this is an example of where it starts.
We were kind of talking about a little bit, and this is another show that we can do in the future, that when I used to interview people for customer service positions for this national company, and they were all remote. In the interview process, I asked them to tell me about their worst customer service experience, and then their best customer service experience. And I usually shared a story of my own at the beginning to be able to kind of prime the pump for them to be able to tell the story. And it's I think that the consumer recognizes and knows a good customer experience versus a poor customer service experience, and that the consumer wants that personalized, I hear you, I see you, how can I help you experience so much more than a transactional experience. It's because it's human nature. People want to be seen, heard, valued, appreciated, and helped.
And Michelle, I think that goes a lot more further than just at the point of sale. I think that comes, we know when buy here, pay here, if these cars don't run, these customers aren't paying. And how do you work with them and set them up for success while also setting them up with the expectations on how we're both going to achieve the success together. So for us, we have a special program for our customers. We only work on cars that we've sold. But those things too, they want to be heard, they want to be seen. And if they call them up, how many times in the buy here, pay here world, in this rhetorical, Jim, because I know the answer, do you get that customer's like, oh, well, I let that car go because they wouldn't work with me or it wouldn't run or something like that. And while it sounds, some dealers may look at that customer like, oh, they're just going to turn the car in. Well, they really wanted that car to run. They may not have had the ability to do it. And if it wasn't something they were out Dukes of Hazzard, it was just something that went out. They bought a car with a CVT transmission, whatever. How we help them determines, do we retain that customer? And not only do we retain their friends, I'm not saying we have to fix every problem or pay for it. That's not the case at all. But how do we work with them? So that's it's the whole way through, from the time you meet them and shake their hand. It's nice to meet you. I'm Jared. Welcome to Double H. To the time, hey, you just paid off that car. We'd love to have you back, or trade in or trade up. The whole way through is how you treat them, and that as Gordy says best, relational. I can't even say that, but you know what I'm trying to say there. The relationship you build.
Yeah, it's not transactional; it's relationship based. And
yes,
and the thing too with that relationship is to understand. And a lot of times people think, well, like Apple, I go back and back and back to the trough of Apple. I go back and back and back to the trough of Apple. Why do I go back and back and back to the trough of Apple? People may just, buy a car, and that may be for 3 years, but they continue to go back to the trough of needing a car. They continue. Correct. It's something that they need to do. And so where are they going to go? Do you create a relationship where they know that you're going to listen to them and help solve problems, help them solve their problem, maybe not pay for it all, but help them solve the problem? Or are you just going to be like, I tried this last time and I'm going to try this next time? It's, it's kind of to me like, I bought a Dell, I'm going to go HP this time, whatever.
I agree with you. And we are creatures of habit, me and my androids. And but you were correct. It's bringing them back. And how do you bring them back? If you give them, you can give them 10, 12, 15 great experiences, but if you give them one bad experience, that taste is a lot harder to wash out. It really is. That taste is a hard one to go away. And sometimes the customers we deal with, not all of them, but sometimes they're not as easy to deal with at first because they've been through not white hat dealers or not white hat restaurants or not white hat queso. They haven't had the experience. So a lot of times as the dealer, we have to be the ones to really take a second, step back. Okay, let's try to look at it through their point of view and what they're seeing and how they're feeling that they got taken advantage of. Even that may not be the case, and how to bring that back to a very healthy relationship, because that's what we want, is healthy relationships with our customers. Just like a wife, a girlfriend, a brother, sister, you want a healthy relationship. You want to have contact and communication. You want to have mutual respect, and you want to have an understanding of expectations between the two, and where not to cross the line or what is crossing the line. And if you develop that with your relationships, when we're talking about competition, I don't think many people can steal a customer from Double H. It's a Double H customer. You'd have a real hard time stealing, unless you're giving cars away for free this Friday only, folks. It's I don't think you're stealing one of my Double H. We call them the Double H family. If you're in the Double H family, you're family for life. So,
and even if someone stole a customer from you because they gave a free car, the next time they need a car, they're going to be
still referring to me.
You, yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can't help but think that a couple things in that, if I can imagine what the experience is like, is first of all, if I come to your dealership, I'm probably going to be heard. Like, you probably listen and you care and you show it day after day. Like, not just the day I'm buying the car. I'm going to see again and again that you really care about me as a person and my experience as a customer. Right. So that's really part of what begins to separate us. And I know we could stay all day and talk about this stuff.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you making time to talk. I just think this is part of what we see as an opportunity in our industry. And Michelle and I are enjoying just being out there talking about it and introducing dealers to this white hat concept. And just, for us, Jared, it's about spotlighting dealers who do business that way and kind of trying to show the benefit that they enjoy, from operating in a white hat way. So we know that you're a good example of that.
I'm going to plant a seed.
Uh-oh.
Okay. I'm going to plant a seed. And this is, I look at the agendas for a lot of the different conferences and things. And the agendas are typically very transactional. We're going to talk about sales. We're going to talk about underwriting. We're going to talk about compliance. We're going to talk about this. I would love to see a track about customer relationships.
That is a great one. In fact, I was at a convention, and I can't remember if it was 2019 or so, and there was a speaker there that talked about that really got into customer relationships. And it was one of the best ones that I took home with. I wish I could remember the speaker because it's so hit home into what I do every day. And the reason that, while it'd be really easy to go make a ton of money real quick, but maybe not salespeople again, I'm in it for the long game, and that guy nailed it. I'm going to try to find out who that was and email it to you guys. One of the best tracks I'd ever sat through.
Good.
And I really think that it's something that Jim and I have found that it is something that there are many dealers out there that are hungry to learn more and hungry to get better. And so I'm just, putting that seed out that doing something that is, gets into the squiggly lines and the heart side. And it's
Absolutely.
a specific track.
Well, we know there's a lot of places to get education, and NIADA is just one of them. And obviously I'm a little biased, for NIADA, but you're right. There's all kinds of ways of proving places to go find it, but stuff like that is really what gets people in. And like I said, I can't remember the speaker, but I remember the whole session.
Yeah.
Those are important ones you bring home.
For sure. Before we let you go, I got to ask you, in the first 60 seconds that we were talking today, did you pick up on any subliminal messages at all today? Did you pick up on did you get any kind of vibe that was subliminal from me at all?
Well, I missed it
today.
I missed it too.
So what'll happen tonight when you're driving home, you will have this undeniable urge to write a check to your state association, and you're a board member. Like, you'll be asking yourself, why do I suddenly feel compelled to write a check to my state association? So now you'll know.
Now I'll know that's it. And if you're not a member, my question to you is, why not?
Yeah.
The value of membership has never been greater.
Yeah,
well, for sure.
Yeah.
And your example, you guys are working so hard out there to create value and good experience and to make this association stronger than ever. So we know that the association needs support of dealers. And so we definitely want to see them get plugged into those.
Yeah, I would say, and if you already are a member, that subliminal message is going to be about you supporting your PAC.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look into your PAC fund, see who we can get in there to really help the industry. And remember that joining NIADA, the easiest way to do that is by going to the NIADA's website, but you're joining your state association first. Mm-hmm. And the majority of those dues stay in your state. A very small portion goes to NIADA. It's so nominal compared to that, but most of it stays in your state. But it does allow us, and you get all the benefits of your state association and compliance and auction coupons, all that, plus all the benefit and powerhouse of the NIADA. And you find yourself, like I said, I wasn't born into a family of dealers. I found my family through my state association, and because of that, I'm successful. And I mean that. That's not just a cheesy thing I say. I truly believe that in my heart. I wouldn't be successful if it wasn't for other dealers that took me under their wing like I was their own son. So
very good.
Love it.
Yeah,
love it.
That's great.
Jared, thank you.
We love you guys.
So much. Oh, we love you too. Stick around for just a second backstage, and so we can say goodbye properly. Thanks so much for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Well,
always fun conversation.
Always a fun conversation. Really appreciate Jared. It's Wednesday. It's the middle of the week. Let's hit it with a lot of new enthusiasm for listening to customers, creating relationships.
Join us on Friday with Paxton Wright. We're going to talk about mergers and acquisition, and we'll be talking about that in a way that will, be relevant to the typical dealer, even if you're not looking to merge or be acquired.
But it'll be good information for anyone at any stage. Have a great rest of your day, guys. We will see you on Friday.